A warm welcome to today's MIU. I'm Thomas Stach. I'm part of the Maritime Informatics team at the CML, front of the CML. And my colleague, also part of the same team, Hannah Pache, will present today a very interesting topic on the digitalization and verification of maritime life emission data, also known as DIVMALDA. That is the project name. And I would like you or everybody to keep the camera off, and during the presentation also keeping the microphone off. And if you're having questions, feel free to ask them after the presentation or just type into the chat, and then we will talk through your questions. Thank you very much. And yeah, the stage is yours, Hannah.
Thank you so much for the introduction, Thomas. As already mentioned, today I will introduce you one of our newer projects called DIVMALDA, Digitalization and Verification of Maritime Life Emission Data. First of all, I would like to introduce you how our partners and we came up with the idea together, go through the existing challenges within greenhouse gas emission reporting in maritime industry, and then present our approach to improve the situation and our goals within that research project. Currently, we have two main technology drivers within maritime industry, decarbonization and digitalization. And we thought about why not combining this. The decarbonization has certain incentive to emit less emissions, like regulations, if you think of emission control areas, and taxes applied to ships, trying to decarbonize the whole maritime sector even more. Then there's external factors like rating agencies. If you know, maybe Poseidon Principles, they rate fleets and ships based on their carbon footprint. And then we have the sustainability commitment of many shipping companies from their own, and also using less fuel, emitting less. Oh, it's not shown. Wait. I have to reshare again. I'm sorry.
So I think it went off when turning off all cameras.
Yeah. I'm sorry.
No, it's perfect.
Okay. I hope now you can see. So CO2 emissions, the sustainability commitment of the shipping companies, and if you think about saving fuel, it does also save emissions, and a very important factor for shipping companies nowadays, saving costs. And we have the second driver or trend, not only in maritime, but in many other fields, which is still ongoing. It's the digitalization. We have the chances to record more data, to track more data, and to make use of that tracked and recorded data. But also the connectivity of seagoing ships has greatly improved in the recent years. It is easier to connect with the ship to get live emission data or live data of the ship. And together with our partners, we thought, why not combine those two trends, and why not measure and report greenhouse gas emissions directly using digital solutions, because it's already state-of-the-art for land-based applications like power plants, real-time measurements, and reporting. That created the idea of DIVMALDA. So what are currently the challenges within greenhouse gas reporting? We have different reporting schemes, and they require different data. So I think most commonly known is EU MRV or IMO DCS. And those, acquiring this data requires manual effort in data collection, where there's a human in the loop collecting data, there might be errors, there might be tempered, but also those models for calculating and reporting the emissions are usually based on just a fuel consumption, and they use historical data from the engines, and they use conservative correction factors. So all the taxes that are paid are based on those models, and we think they could be more accurate in the future. Also, the reporting affects the whole lifetime or the whole life cycle of a vessel, starting in the design phase, continuing within the operational phase, not just using MRV or DCS, Also, it applies to charter owner relationships, how to report, who reports, and then further in the future, we await that there will be also EU emission trading systems, so monetizing your emissions further. On top of that, we already, as already mentioned, there's also an own motivation and a generation responsibility or sustainability commitment. Of course, not all data is already manually reported or collected. If you think, for example, of scrubbers, we have already continuous monitoring within those required by IMO, but the data usually stays on board of the ship and is just checked by the authorities occasionally for controls and not further used usually or even sent live to the shore. So if we go to an example for that, like what kind of effects do all those reporting and taxes have? We have a short example for a smaller container feeder with around 860 TEU. In 2024, if you calculate those taxes in EU waters based on fuel oil consumption, you come around 1.8 million for CO2 taxes. And the taxes are estimated to rise within the next years. So if we can measure the emissions more correctly and achieve a higher accuracy for the ship and the owner charter, we also might achieve potential savings. And if you look at those sums, even a small percentage saves a lot of money for the shipping companies, the ship owners in the end. So we want to address those issues with our project DIVMALDA, the future of digital emission reporting. We address several goals with our project. We do not just want to put data to the shore, but go beyond that. We want a more transparent and credible reporting and monitoring, and a more optimized version of that, even possible using the data at a later stage to optimize operations. So what we focus on in this project is a verified digital reporting system of greenhouse gas emissions. And within that project, we will specify and develop a novel CO2 sensor system, which is then applied on 2 real-life installation and demonstrations on 2 different vessels, 1 container vessel and 1 port ferry. All this collected data will be kind of checked, cross-checked, validated for, and plausibility checks will be conducted, and the data will be collected in either in international data space or cloud solution. We are still in the process of discussing this with stakeholders, which is best. So those challenges are addressed. We remember I mentioned data collection and live measurement instead of rough estimations. And here we have digitalization, so we omit those manual collection of data. So we have the novelties, now they are there, of the real-time measurements and the live measurement, and also close to real-time data verification, data proof check. The emission reporting is planned to be automatic or more automated than it is already now. We have the standardized, or at least we aim to have a standardized data stream by the end of that with different sensors, and kind of wrap it all up in a digital reporting concept for the emission data. And we are very confident in achieving those goals because we have a great consortium in this project, which is including not only manufacturers of sensors, not only research, but also the stakeholders that are relevant for the emission reporting in maritime. We have the project lead SIG, who will be mostly responsible for sensor development. Then we have our associated partners, DNV, for trust and legislation competence, HPA, Hamburg Port Authority, as a data receiver for local emissions and stakeholder within that project. And we have our associated partner, CPO Container Schiffsreederei, using we can use one of their seagoing vessels as a research platform, one of the big container vessels. And with our associated partner, Flotte Hamburg, we have another use case for a harbor ferry. And as a full partner, we have on the research side the Fraunhofer ISST for data communication and the cloud structure. And of course, our part, we will do the data fusion and analysis and CO2 simulation. The project started this summer. It is funded by the Federal Ministry of Economic Affairs and Climate Action here in Germany. The total cost around to develop the sensor and the whole system are 2.2 million euros, and we have a duration for 3 years. To answer any open questions now, and hope I will see you again soon with updates from our DIVMALDA project.
Maybe as I don't see right now, I know I'm quite fast. Nobody's raising his hand right now, or also there's no question in the chat. I would just start with a question to, let's say, break the ice. Thank you very much for the very interesting presentation on, let's say, a topic of sustainability, greenhouse gas emissions, reductions, and so on are very present, as we know. So this is why this topic is, I think, quite significant and relevant. But I was asking myself, we're doing at CML, at Fraunhofer CML, or generally Fraunhofer, applied research. So in the end, we often imagine having some kind of a product which is transferred from research to industry. What would be the product in the end that you're working towards to?
Of course, we cannot achieve within public funded research project a full project like product at the end. But what we aim for is creating the sensor system and reporting system in a way that the sensor is cheap enough and easy enough to install, that it can be installed in every exhaust stream of a ship, and that it does not need any additional sensors, so that the kind of investment is rather on the cheaper side for ship owners in the end, and that the reporting system will be approved in the end by classification societies. That's why we have DNV as a partner here to ensure that we can do the verification process right at the beginning, like ensure that we can meet all the requirements.
So it's like a very holistic product in the end. So I see one hand is rising, Leonard Krause. Feel free to ask your question.
Yeah, hello everyone. Leonard Krause from Happe Marine. I have a question. When you then directly measure exhaust gases on the exhaust stream, can you use that data already in nowadays regulatory framework for reporting, DCS, MIU reporting, or do you have to transfer them back into an equivalent fuel flow and apply factors afterwards?
Within these regulations, there are different ways to calculate the emissions. I think that direct measurement is part of that and is allowed, but currently the sensor systems that are able to be installed on ships are not on the cheap side. So most seagoing vessels, up to my knowledge, are not equipped with direct measurements or live measurement systems. I think that's why most go based on fuel consumption, because it's the easiest to measure and the easiest to calculate in the end. You just use usually what you kind of used up on fuel, and it is multiplied by one factor, and then you have the total greenhouse gas emissions for that. So it's, I think, up to now, a different approach. Yeah, the sensor systems are not quite installed in there yet. I hope this answers your question.
Yeah, I was more referring to, I mean, I know that we can report direct emissions, but I was wondering if it's then possible to also like directly report those emissions, or if we have to then basically transform them again into fuel equivalent after measuring CO2 emissions, for instance.
Usually what you do is you kind of collect the data for yourself, for your own, and then I think you have to calculate them before you just report.
Okay, so Okay, I see. Okay.
There's like certain form of how you hand in your CO2 emissions within MRV and DCS.
And then can I then do I still have to then to those emissions apply those factors which also apply when I'm having direct fuel measurement, or can I then basically not apply those factors because I have already a direct measurement?
If it's
because
direct
then I
measurement,
would have the actual benefit of the technology.
If it's just fuel meters or fuel measurement, of course you have to use the factors to just calculate how much fuel was consumed and how much CO2, for example, was emitted. If you would have direct measurement of actual emissions, like really in the exhaust stream of the ship, I think it's okay to collect those data and report. But I think from what I know within the data existing, there has been no case yet so far.
Okay, thank you very much.
You're welcome.
So we reached the end. If there would be one very short question, we can still do it, I guess. If not, I think we already had a deeper going discussion. I see no raising hands, nothing in the chat. Otherwise, just feel free to contact my colleague. I think she would be very happy to discuss with you things more in detail. Thank you very much, Hannah. And then we will see each other again next week, Friday, same time. And the next time, our colleague Julius Küchle will present something. It will be in German again, as it is often the case. The topic is called Bauwerkserhalt von Stahlschrundswänden. It's a topic I have no clue about, so I can't tell you anything about it, but Julius Küchle probably will tell a lot of about it. So feel free to join again and have a lovely weekend.